this is Svetlana from Kamui Cosplay, and today I want to give you a basic crash course on how to install blinky animated LEDs into your props and costumes. And by the way, this is already my 5th video on this topic, but I'm doing this already for 20 years, and like my own techniques and like tools and materials constantly change, so I thought it's time for another update. And like, don't worry if you have like no idea about electronics, about like programming, and like never saw that before. This video is actually for you. I keep everything like super beginner friendly and easy, and I'm sure you will understand everything instantly. And I know installing electronics can be a little bit intimidating, especially if you have no idea where to even get started. So to take your fear away, I wanted to show you one of my favorite projects, the Grimm Arrow, which I made a few years ago, and actually made a full making of video about that. And it's actually made completely out of EVA foam, covered with like a ton of plastic gemstones. And the best part is, once I turn on the weapon here, it actually completely lights up. I installed over 400 LEDs and I think it looks really cool, especially with the crystals. And even better, like once I pull the trigger, it changes the lights and plays a sound effect. I think it is so awesome. And yeah, projects like these were actually, for example, my really spooky Majora's Mask, which can actually even laugh when I shake it. Or I also made like a Warhammer stuff with like over 200 LEDs. And what else? Oh yeah, Demonic Brigitte with over 800 LEDs. Or Nova with over 1000 LEDs. So you see, like installing LEDs and sound effects might be a little bit addictive, and once you know what to do, everything needs to light up. So you're warned, but now let's start crafting. So first, before we get started, let's talk about all the tools and materials you need to light up your props and costumes. And first, let's talk about digital RGB LED strips. I'm using these ones here for most of my projects. They actually have 60 LEDs per meter and are completely controllable with a microchip. What does this mean? So if you have like a little chip, you can say that like this one is red, this one is green, this one is blue, and so you can totally light it up with a rainbow in all colors you want. It can do like amazing animations and just be like super pretty and fancy. And as I said, I'm using them for all of my projects because they still have a great brightness but are not too power draining, so I can light up at the convention for many hours. And the chip I'm talking about is actually a combo of two products. First, a Feather M4 Express, and the next one is a Prop Maker Feather Wing. You can get both from adafruit.com and actually have to stack them together to work. If you want to use sound effects for your build as well, I highly recommend to get a 40mm 4 ohm and 3 watts speaker. There are bigger and smaller ones, but for my projects they actually worked really well, this size here. And you also need a speaker cable to connect everything to the circuit. So to turn everything on and off, you have to decide which switch you need. I highly recommend to push button, use it for the Grimm Arrow as well. There are actually those ones work as well. You can also use like these super tiny slide switch, perfect if you don't have a lot of space. And for triggers, this one is really amazing. Used it for the Grimm Arrow as well. And last but not least, you also need a battery. I prefer lithium-ion batteries, and this one has 4400 milliamp hours with 3.7 volts. And it lasts for like bigger projects, and sometimes I don't need that much power or space. So I'm actually using a 2200, or if you want to go all out, you can also use a 6600 milliamp hours with an iron battery. Or if you have like no space at all, you can also use like a small one with only 150 milliamp hours. But the thing is always, when it comes to LED installations. The bigger your battery, the more lights you can install, and like the brighter they can be, and like the glorious you can shine as a Christmas tree. And if you don't have so much space for your battery pack, you have to go a little bit lower or do some fancy animations, but more about that later. And to put everything together, you first need some lead-free solder. It's basically like hot glue, but for electronics, and some wire. I prefer double-colored 0.14 square millimeters wire in red and black, and as you can see, I actually need to buy more very soon. So, and when it comes to tools, you actually don't need much at all. First, a soldering iron. This one was actually really cheap, got it like for 20 or 30 euros or something like that. It's like really simple, and I'm using it for all of my electronics. I also got this helping hand as well. It's really useful to place the soldering iron here, and these little thingies here are actually great to place your wires here and then solder them together. Then to clean the tip, get like this tip cleaner, so your tip is nice and shiny. And my favorite, and probably also the best tool, is actually like this wire stripper. So the wire stripper is great to cut your wires, but also you place them here and then you easily can strip your wires in no time. Amazing tool, get it as well. It's amazing, and as you can see, you don't need much at all. Oh, one tool I actually forgot is like this extractor fan. And it's actually great because like once you're soldering, like this will create a ton of fumes and you shouldn't really breathe them in. So always work in a well-ventilated area, or you can also use this amazing tool to keep like everything stinky free. Yes. And now let's put everything together. So first you actually have to put both chips here together. And sometimes the legs are a little bit bended, so you have to shape them a little bit on your working mat and then stack them together carefully and sometimes with a little bit of force. So, works. So, see, that's it already. So let's turn this thing on. I hope you can still hear me. But yeah, next, let's check if this one is already hot enough. So, and next part, we are actually gluing both chips together with solder. Just put your tip here, heat it up a little bit, and add then the solder on top. See, super easy. And I highly recommend to fix first like the most outer pins. So this one, and this one. So everything holds together, and then you can fill up the pins afterwards. And as you can see, the extractor does already its magic, and I'm safe and healthy with this thing. So easy.
1 minute, 37 seconds later.
So, done. Yay! Ta-da! Everything is nice and connected. So, and the next step is actually adding an on and off switch, and it goes like to this G here and the EN. So. I'm actually going with the switch here, and let's shorten the wires. First a little bit, so, and now you can also see again the magic of the wire stripper. Ta-da! Works like a charm. So, next we are drilling everything here together. So, nice and tidy. They go here. So you see, just like that and like that. And now let's attach them with the soldering iron. Please don't judge my soldering skills. I'm doing my best here. Wow. when it comes to the length of the on and off button, it actually depends on your own project, where you want to turn your lights on and off. But like, since this is just like an example, I want to keep it a little bit shorter. Next one, the speaker also needs a connection, and we're using this wire for this. By the way, in the video description down below, you will find all tools and materials you will need for this project. So, but the wire here is a little bit long, so let's shorten it as well. So. Oh, and I totally forgot, I highly recommend to get some shrinking tube as well, which is amazing to actually protect your stripped wires. And I'm going to show you how they work just in a second. So today I'm just cutting everything with my wire stripper. Ta-da! We just need to pull the shrinking tube here on top. Super easy. Ta-da! Wire this here together. So, and now add again some solder on top. Ha. Then we pull the shrinking tube here on. And next on, we use some heat. Ta-da! And that's done as well. Next on, we have to prepare the LED strip, and for that we just grab a roll and cut off as much as we need. And when cutting, you actually have to cut here exactly on this mark. You can cut at any point of the LED strip after every LED, but you have to cut here in the middle, like this. So then, if you want, you can get rid of this silicone, free the LED. Now it's ready for soldering. Soldering. Yes. So, next on, let's place the LED strip in the helping hand. And what you have to make sure is actually that the input is according to the arrow here on the LED strip. So in this direction, this is actually the input, and on the other side, where the arrow actually goes out, it's the output. So we are connecting the LED strip first here. So the connection plug for the LED strip actually looks like this here. So, but first, let's prepare everything. First, we are adding some solder here on top. All those pins. So, and also onto the strip wires. So this looks good, kind of. So, important part. The black one goes to ground, the red one goes to 5 volt, the power input, and the white one goes to DIN, the data input. So let's do it.
A few minutes later.
So, done. And this was the hardware. But the thing is, like, when I press this button here, nothing happens. And the reason for that is actually that we still have to install this little mini computer. But more on that next. And before I'm showing you everything, I wanted to mention that I also wrote a book of cosplay lights and sound effects exactly about this topic. And here I talk about also all the things and materials you need, but also how to program a trigger, for example, how to change all the sound effects, the animations and everything. Also how to hide your wires, and basically how to plan a whole costume and prop, become a Christmas tree and win every single costume competition completely light up. So check this book out on comiccosplay.com, buy my books, and now let's start programming. And programming is basically just like copy and paste existing code. So don't worry, you don't need to like program at all. You don't need any skills on this. I'm showing you everything super beginner friendly and super easy, so you can do it at home as well and become a Christmas tree as well. Now it is finally time for the installation, and for that we have to connect the chip to the computer, or in my case, the MacBook. Ta-da! For the connection you need a micro USB cable, which is hopefully laying around somewhere, and then you just connect it here. As soon as you plug it in, it will show up in your drive here. Depending on where you buy your chips, they sometimes come pre-installed. However, based on my experience, I had some issues with them, so I actually crashed them first and then start with everything completely new. So let's reset the chip first. To reset the chip, just double-click the reset button twice. So, Featherboot is the drive name we actually need. Everything is resetted and we need a fresh installation. For that, we actually go on the website of adafruit.com for the CircuitPython. Link in the video description down below. You have to download the latest version of the CircuitPython. Click here, get this file here, and afterwards you simply drag and drop here into the drive. And then everything restarts and we have the right installation of our drive. So the next step is a tiny little bit more complicated, but basically you have to go to the website circuitpython.org/libraries, download like the latest Adafruit bundle, click here, and then you get like this folder here, and within this folder in the library you have to download these items, copy them and insert them to your very own library. You will find the names of those files in the video description. I have to admit though that doing this video and keeping it up to date is a little bit challenging because technology is constantly evolving and things are changing. And so in case, if you get stuck by following this tutorial, please check out the links in the video description down below. I'm sure there you will find a solution. So now that our chip here is done, we actually need a program to edit and write the code and basically tell the chip what to do. And for that, we need the mu editor. So you go here on the website and click on download. And since I have a Mac, I'm going to download it directly here. So this is actually how the mu editor looks like once you open it. Sometimes when you open it the very first time, it asks you for the right code. Just say CircuitPython, and as you can see, the program is actually really simple. So what do we have to do? We actually have to go first to load and then load the CodePy file. This is actually the file where like all your instructions for the program and everything go, and where you actually save and tell your microchip what to do. But as you can see, it's completely blank. Don't worry though, we are not going to code, we're actually going to copy paste. So for that, I already prepared you a code which you can simply copy and paste in your very own mu editor. So you simply have to go to kamulcosplay.com/python/ and then just pick this here, just copy it and then just paste it directly into your mu editor, and then we are checking what is happening. And by the way, if you want to put it on your chip, you only have to go to save and then it's there. So, and once the code is actually transferred to your chip, it takes a little while, but this is how it looks like. So I chose for the code a blue animation, like as you can see, like a crawling animation. I didn't activate the speaker, so there is no sound at all, but basically this runs now for quite a while until the battery is empty. But next we're actually checking out how the code works and how you can adjust it yourself. So let's talk about the code. It's actually really simple and quite basic, so it cannot do a lot of things, but I think it's actually a great example to explain you how like the whole setup works. And don't worry, it's actually quite simple, and like most of it is just copy paste. So first we have to talk about those 3 lines, and imagine basically you go into a library and it's full of books and everything, and this is basically the same. So these 3 lines are actually the files we imported previously to the lib folder, and they are basically also full of books with like instructions and like animations and like basically things that tell the microchip what to do and how to do it. And we actually, from those libraries, we are using and basically importing the animation comet. The animation comet is like just the animation you saw now on the LED strip. It's like this crawling animation running through the LED strip in a blue color. And yeah, this is actually one of plenty of animations you can choose from. And if you're curious what is else also available, you can go on the learnadafruit.com CircuitPython LED animations website, and here you can find like a ton of different options you can use for your costumes and props. They also explain like how to use like all the functions, you know, like how to change colors, how to change speed, how to adjust the animations, and they also have like blinky animations, so like sparkle, like rainbow animations and everything. Just check out their website. There you will find like a ton of really cool stuff. I personally actually mostly go with Comet. Like most of my props have like the Comet animation because it's a very power saving animation, since it's mostly using only like 50% of all LED strips. And like, you know, I love installing like a ton of LED strips, so if like only 50% are on at the same time, I don't drain too much power from my battery, and like my props and costumes can light up longer. But like it totally depends on what you want to create. So next on, I also imported the color blue. You can also use like green or like red or whatever, like all those color codes are actually pre-written, and I used it for my own LED strip as well. So the next line is actually the number of LEDs I'm using on my LED strip. I counted, I have 14 pixels, so I added here 14. This part basically tells where like the on and off switch is connected to the microchip, and like it's basically like a copy paste line. This one is also more or less copy paste, so it actually tells that like my LED strip is called strip. That's the name of the strip. It's connected to like a specific pin on the chip, and it has like this amount of pixels which I'm using. It also runs with the brightness 1. 1 is actually the maximum. And if you want to like keep your animation, like your LED strip, a little bit more power saving, you can also, for example, put it to 1.5 and just lower a little bit the brightness. This one is just basically copy paste, and the rest is also just copy paste. Here it actually enables the prop maker feathering and basically tells the lower chip, the feather M4, that there is like something on top of it. And next we also have like the Comet Blue. This I actually called my Comet animation Comet Blue because sometimes I'm actually using like different animations, like different Comet animations on the same LED strip. So it's important that I'm using like different names so the microchip doesn't get like confused, you know, it doesn't know what to do. And so this one is actually called Blue because it's a blue animation. And as you can see here, I actually used, instead of the blue code, like I actually totally write here blue in as well, but instead of that I actually used a color code, like the RGB code. So RGB actually means that like are, like red is actually 0, G is also green is to turned on 0, and like 255 is the maximum, is like blue. So basically we have like 3 channels on the LED, and I turned only one, the blue channel, to the maximum, so the LED strip is actually lights up in blue. Then we also have like tail length, which tells the LED strip that like it shall turn on only 5 LEDs at once. So it's like basically the tail length. If you want to turn on more or less LEDs at the same time, just, you know, change this number. Ring true means that like it loops through the LED strip, and bounce means basically that it keeps on running through it. And if you actually turn on bounce to true, it will actually create, maybe you still know it, the very famous Knight Rider animation. I love the show as a kid, by the way, and it looks really cool as well. And then finally, the last line actually turns on the LED strip. So it says play this animation, and this is actually the command for it. And as you can see, it's actually a very simple code, I would say. Like, you can easily adjust it, and you can directly use it for props and costumes, to use the animation to turn it on, and like you know, like do some cool stuff and everything. But in the next step, we're actually going it and like we're actually making it a little bit more complicated. So now I'm actually going to show you how to separate your LED strip into several sections, or how they're called groups. And this is actually a really helpful function, because like sometimes you want to light up like a specific part like constantly, or have like a different animation, and like the other part of your LED strip is going to do something completely else. For example, like the eyes of my Majorisk mask, they were completely light up the whole time, and like the rest was actually animated. Same with my Merciless Blaster, where actually I think had like 10 light up eyes, and like the rest was animated as well. So it's actually a really useful function and really awesome for costume and prop making. But I promised you we are not going to code anything, we're only copy pasting, right? So for that, I actually already prepared everything. You only have to go on my website, and here like you can find the code of the Majorisk mask, and like just copy paste whatever you want. And we are copy pasting some stuff as well. So for the group function, we actually have to copy an additional part of the library, and this is pixel subset. So we are copying this line, then we add it just here. And in addition, the solid animation, like it's called solid, but basically we also have to import it as well, and just add here. In addition to that, I actually want to have my solid animation in a red color. So we are also adding here red as well. And next on, we have to tell the LED strip that it's going to be like separated into 2 parts. And for that, the line here, which you have to copy paste as well, is this one here, the one with the groups. It goes here. And this part basically tells, so group 1, so the very first section, is from 0 to 39, but obviously we don't have that many pixels. And group 2 is also on your LED strip here, from 39 to 74. I have to mention here that like the very first pixel is actually always 0. So it starts with 0, and since we don't have that many pixels, we have like only 14. Let's say our animation goes like to number 7, which is actually the 8th pixel, because we start with 0. So we start here in the next group also with 7, and it goes to 13, because the last one is actually 13, but like actually the 14th, but you will get it, I'm pretty sure. So, and in addition to that, we also have to define our solid animation. We can copy and paste it directly as well. Here you can see it has the color red, and it doesn't have like any other animation, so no other settings or whatever. So we have like only this. And then, almost last but not least, we also have to tell the program that Comet Blue is actually not running on the whole strip, but on group. You see, you can here already choose the group, And the solid animation is also running on group, but like running on group 2. So as you can see, like the names of those sections are actually group 1 and 2. And then to activate both, it's actually you have to copy this, paste it here, and call it here solid red. Okay, and that's pretty much it. So last but not least, you have to go to check, see if anything is working, like you can, like anything is wrong, like you can actually just ignore it. This part, that's fine. So everything looks fine. And then you click on save, and then the magic happens. Well, and that's pretty much it. So here we have like the first group with like the blue comet animation, like this is the solid animation. And yeah, this is actually already like really awesome, like for most of your projects. Like you can do it like, you know, like make it a little bit more complicated. For example, like if you want, you can say like your helmet has like a different animation at like your shoulder pieces, for example, and like your breastplate and everything. You can use like a super long LED strip and like do all the fancy things. As mentioned, there are far more really cool animations you can use as well. And like I use like this build like for most of my projects as well. And like if you're doing this, you can do like, I think like 90% like everything you want to build, and like everything else is like already optional and just like more fancy stuff on top. But I really hope I was able to show you that's actually not complicated. I personally think it's actually really easy once you get like through it, and I also think like, you know, like that's actually really fun and exciting, and I love installing LEDs into all my projects, and I really hope that you also want to do it as well and like become a Christmas tree with me. And maybe you noticed that I actually didn't mention the speaker I spoke about in the very beginning at all, and also didn't spoke about like the movement sensor and like the trigger you saw at the very beginning. But like, to be honest with you, while making this video, it became like longer and longer, and I wanted to keep it like very beginner friendly and basic, and not like complicated and like intimidating. And you know, I just want to make you like really excited about this topic. But yeah, if you want to learn this like properly, just check out my books on lights and sound effects. There I explain everything properly. And like as mentioned, you find already the code for the Majora's Mask on my website as well. So you just need to copy paste it and everything works. And yeah, I just hope you were able to see that it's like a really cool and fun topic, and actually not that difficult, but like really awesome. And I hope you will add lights and sound effects to like all your projects now. Last but not least, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I think it took actually quite a while until I made like a new tutorial video, because like last year we were quite busy with crafting projects, but I really hope you enjoyed it. I hope I was able to explain everything like beginner friendly and easy, especially that's a little bit a more complicated topic, but like it means a lot to me. Like as mentioned, this is like my 5th electronics video now, and I think it's a really awesome technique, and I wish that like everyone can install lights in their costumes and props as well. And like as always, if you have any questions, please leave me a comment down below. And if you don't have like any questions or comments at all, please write down Corgi, join the Corgi squad, and support us with the YouTube algorithm. And other than that, as always, please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. And then see you very soon in the next video. Bye bye.